Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the 706 podcast where we discuss, argue, and want to kill Tony.
For the most part, yes.
That's the tacit implication.
I would first like to start by apologizing for last week. After some of our sponsors pulled out, we did not have an episode. My brother got mad. And numerous other people just don't want to talk to us. So we're back, though, with When Harry Met Sally. But first, let's introduce the crew.
I'm Tony. I'd like to apologize
come on, let's just get the crew.
Anthony for not speaking once during the last podcast. I went over to my friend here.
It was a poor showing, but we'll bounce back this week, folks. We did get pulled. PBS pulled us over some copyright issues. They did not like how we discussed Barney in the same word as in the same sentence as psilocybin and child rape. All right, go.
All right. And I'm Connor. Interesting. This was probably one of Anthony's burners. He just threw this out there. Didn't think it was going to get picked.
Well,
he wasn't alone. Let's just say that.
I did never believe that Tony would pick a rom-com where a girl ends up happy in the end. I am substantially serious about that. But anyway, I'm your host today, Anthony. And to start this off, let's talk about When Harry Met Sally. So, When Harry Met Sally is the 1989 classic rom-com film directed by Rob Reiner and written by Nora Ephron. It is a story, probably not the first, but arguably one of the most famous or critically acclaimed, that dares to ask, can women and men ever be friends? Yeah, I switched him there, Coney.
Coney? The child soldier guy now? Because I picked Barney the dinosaur?
Notice how I deliberately... Okay, well,
I'll say we could use some videos about Tony. Wants to start a viral...
Okay. So When Harry Met Sally is the story of Harry and Sally, of course, the titular characters who first start off in a rather awkward or rather heated topic of engagement on a road trip, where they dare to ask that question, can we ever be friends? Through the course of their lives, they begin to actually become friends, and we see them developed into somewhat actually being able to accept a relationship with one another. So, whether this was a burner, I actually really like this movie. I don't know if I ever would have suggested it other than the fact that I just really didn't want to speak last episode. But I am glad we did it. I don't know if we did an 80s movies, have we? 80s movies?
We may have. I'll check.
All right. I don't know if we have. I don't know if we've done a strictly...
we definitely... Maybe it was 1990, so it was right on the edge.
All right. We definitely haven't done a American rom-com. Anyway, some might count Amelie as that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But anyway, let's just get started. Let's hear opinions.
All right. Which side of the table we're starting with? All right.
I'll go ahead. First, I will say, this is the whitest fucking movie I've ever seen in my life. Hands down, there is not a black character in this movie. Hispanic.
There's a waitress.
No, several waitresses are black.
This is the most racist movie you'll ever see in your life.
I mean, you probably watch a lot of old movies.
It's Pretoria in 1984. It's really bad. It's horrible. All right, I just had to get that out of my system, and I was saving that for you guys, so you're welcome. But this is a fun movie. This is a different style of rom-com. It's messy. It's not necessarily linear. It doesn't follow this kind of prescribed course that we've come to accept as the frame within which romantic comedies have to operate in 2016. For a second, I mean, that's kind of what led me to feel like the movie was a bit long, because I didn't know when it was ending. I knew they were going to get together, right? That was kind of obvious, but I didn't know how to anticipate that happenings until it actually did. So I appreciated that, and I thought it was very genuine, funny at times, striking. I gotta say, I don't know if Meg Ryan... Okay, I might get shit for this. I don't think Meg Ryan's that great of an actress, to be honest.
You're gonna get shit for this.
Yeah, I don't.
I can see him picking it up. He's getting ready to throw it.
Yeah, on Meg Ryan forums.
Yeah, exactly. I'll expect ricin in the mail, but those are some cursory reactions. I'll pass it over to either Tony or Connor.
All right, I can go.
Sure.
Yeah, this was a good rom-com. I enjoyed it. It's one of the better ones I've seen. I thought it was well cast. I think the whole cast is really good. I don't think Meg Ryan is bad as Kirk suggests. I don't think she's like
I didn't say she was
the
bad.
star of the show. I think Billy Crystal outshines her a little bit. which is interesting because in a lot of romantic movies, a common complaint is sort of that the woman is this really interesting, like, fun character, and the man is sort of bland or whatever, and why is she interested in him, and vice versa or whatever. Or, like, it's disproportionate. She's, like, more interesting than he is or whatever. This movie, I felt like it was sort of the other way. I felt like Billy Crystal's character is super fun and super entertaining and a really funny, like, guy. He gives us this fantastic performance. He gets so many great moments. And Meg Ryan's good in her role, but her character is just not as exciting to me. She's not quite as interesting, I don't think. She doesn't have quite as much fun going on for me. But I thought it was a good story. Again, good cast, some good scenes. The one, I guess, the biggest problem with this movie, I would say, is that it frames it as Anthony says, like, they have this conversation at the beginning, like, can men and women be friends? And it seems to be setting it up like, this is Billy Crystal's belief at the start of the movie. And over the course of this, like, 10-year, 12-year journey he goes on, he will learn that, like, that's not really the case. But the movie... Like, the movie's answer to that question is no. Like if you follow a logical movie, the answer is no, they can't.
No, absolutely
he doesn't
not.
grow at all. He doesn't change. She sort of does, but, like, there's no real, like... I don't get the sense of, like, of really earned, like, maturity. There's no real... For me, there's not a lot of, like, weight to the ending in terms of, like, wow, they really, like... This has taught me something new about relationships, about love. It basically plays out the way you'd expect it to. And I enjoyed it, but I just, for me... I have to kind of hold that against the movie personally.
I
let's
disagree.
let's get Connor's first.
On the record, I disagree with Tony.
I do too.
Yeah, I hated this movie. I thought it was awful. I hated the part at the end where they were so happy together. I hated how funny and witty they were. I hated the humor. I hated the part where Meg Ryan was really pretty. I hate the fact that I am not Billy Crystal. I hate the fact that I can never have something so beautiful. This movie made me kind of depressed, but that's kind of what
as
rom-coms do.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I liked it a lot. You guys kind of cooled me down a little bit. I was about to come in really hot, saying this was like an amazing movie. Now I'm thinking about it. I do have this tendency where, although I really loved the humor, I loved the dialogue, I loved kind of the themes of the movie and the way that people talk in the movie and what they talk about, I loved. I do have this thing, though, where I, like, never watched rom-coms, right? Like, up until I was, like, maybe, like, 17, 18. And then, like, suddenly I realized that I really like them. It's like, it's because I'd never been exposed to them before. I'm like, oh, you can have, like, a movie about love? And, like, oh, this is so cool. So, like, where previously I thought, oh, that's like a chick flick, dude, or something like that. But what I think because I'm not as exposed to the genre, I can't tell what's as good versus what's not as good, right? But overall, I really like this movie.
All right, so we got the takes here. Let me go on the record first as saying that it's interesting that Kirk made the point of this is the widest movie he's ever seen, because quite a few critics have called it the best Woody Allen movie Woody Allen ever wrote. So there goes sort of proportion and parallels there. As for Tony's take, it's interesting because I do think Billy Crystal has the more quotable lines, the certainly interesting quips, but I actually disagree. I think Meg Ryan is absolutely fascinating on the screen.
She's pretty funny.
I think she's a very interesting character. I think there's a lot of development actually going on by the end. And in terms of his questioning of the trouble of the movie, the fact that the movie's trying to point out, well, the answer to the question is really no, when we see the opposite at the end. One thing I will bring up, I don't usually like to think about it this way, but the original movie actually ended with them not getting together. It ended on them after the wedding ceremony where they kind of like just break things apart. Yes, they did sleep together, but they decide it's not going to work out. Ending. When Nora Ephron, Rob Reiner tested it, they realized, wait, that's not where our movie's heading. So I do believe that they know what's going on. I do believe there's a characterization there. And I'll be honest, I actually do believe this movie is one of the top 10 greatest romantic comedies of all time. It definitely belongs on that list where AFI put it. I definitely understand how
Where did they put it?
Number 5 or 6.
Oh, okay.
Behind it
Annie
happened
Hall's
one
probably
night.
number one.
It happened one night.
Oh,
Annie
no,
Hall.
okay.
Some like it hot. But anyway, I definitely agree where Sight and Sound puts it on the American list. It's in the lower hundreds, but I just really like this movie. I agree, but let's go to...
Yeah, I just... my interpretation of the movie, right? So I was asking Connor, because I'm an illiterate fool, what kind of phrase this is. When Harry Met Sally. I guess it's a conditional. So this is a conditional. It's like When Harry Met Sally. And at first I thought it was like inevitability right at the beginning of the movie when he's talking about sex and the inherent pull, magnetism of two attractive people towards each other for that purpose. But as the further we got into the movie, actually towards the end mostly, I started realizing that, and this was post fight. This is post their after they had sex and they had gotten broken up, and this is kind of when he's like contemplating. He's very like introspective, and he's thinking, what am I doing here? And I think the movie, it does say, that this doesn't have to be an inevitability, and he's realizing that, and he's realizing that he likes her despite what he likes her for changing his opinion on that inevitability. He likes the fact that sex wasn't the end-all be-all for them, and despite having sex with her, having conquered that mountain, he can still go back to her, and he wants so much more than that. There's love, there's so many things that transcend that sexual space. So I think it's I don't know, it's about love, right? And it's about this sense of this concurrent force that is kind of parallel to the sexual sphere, and it's kind of this love, this spiritual sphere that I think is plugged into here in the movie. And I think that they kind of, towards the end, they or throughout it, it's a process, right? But what I'm getting at in the title is, I don't think it's when Harry met Sally they decided they were eventually going to fuck. I think it's when Harry met Sally, Harry learned a thing or two about what it means to be human. I don't know.
And both Nora and Rob actually hated this title. They really wanted it to be something else.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is what the film production company decided on and overrid them. But I think you actually
put a boring title.
Yeah, I think you put it really well, Kirk. Because again, with Billy Crystal's character Harry, again, this is not just a character who thinks sex is the end. This is a character who's all about the end. I mean, we hear in the beginning how he goes straight to the end of the book because, oh my God, he's so dark. And she does call him out on it, but it is interesting. He's all about the ends. He's never about the actually getting past that. He just has to have things stop. But what do you think, Tony, over here?
I don't know. I mean, you frame it as, you talk about he learns he can be with her even after they have sex. He still wants to be with her, and he loves and respects her for that. But I don't think the movie was ever framing it as Billy Crystal's this character who just can't commit to a woman. He just sleeps with everyone. I mean, there's a little bit of that. There's one line that says that, but I never got the sense. I thought his whole thing was just I can't maintain a friendship with a woman if that's not part of it. And while he does, he ends up doing so, but to me, it's kind of it's kind of...
Friendship and lover are not mutually exclusive, though. He's her friend, right?
And also, multiple times, he's called out for sleeping with every woman in New York.
Well, one other time. There's one time.
There's a few times. He also says it when it's about Chicago as well. She says, well, you can't just sleep with every girl's in the dorm. Mm-hmm. And he can't even remember this girl's name, who she thinks he's going to study with.
But you said, so you said that they... Wait, he couldn't remember the name of the girl
that he was having a relationship.
You mean later on?
Well, yeah, but it's a progression. It's the whole.
Okay,
it's only 5 years later, I think.
I do feel like he developed at the end. I feel like, honestly, it was this friendship had changed something in him, but maybe I'm
No. I mean, he's a sweeter guy. I think.
No, more than that. I think there's some philosophical element to it, to how he perceives his interactions with women.
But real quick, you mentioned, Anthony, that they or the original ending had them not getting together.
Yeah,
right?
It ended actually. He doesn't run to the New Year's Eve. That was the real cut.
And so you prefer this ending?
I think it actually works within the logic of the movie, which is interesting that you were saying it doesn't. That's why
it would be a very cynical movie if that's.
I don't think that's cynical at all. I think that'd be very mature if they both decide that they can continue to be friends, and I would like.
They
that.
weren't friends though; they hadn't talked to each other.
They could become friends again. They don't have to get together.
But then that would be. I mean, if we saw the ending, it would be Billy Crystal kind of giving up. Well, I've had sex with her. She can't really be my friend now. That's it.
Yeah,
it would be him reverting.
In some ways, he's not. He does not remain her friend. He's more than that. But again, like I said,
I think
that
they're
is
still
something.
friends.
In general, it's not. If you're trying to sell me on a movie, it's not good to say, well, originally they had a darker ending, but then they changed it because audiences didn't test well.
But it wasn't just audience. It was how they saw what their product was going to be. I mean, they started out, they think they're writing something true to experience, and it has that dark ending. But as they work on it, they film it, and then they go, wait, that's not how this movie should be. We're telling a whole different story here. This is a movie with a different ending that's needed.
Tony, in Barney's Great Adventure, Tinkin actually runs through Washington Square Park in the original cut. He runs.
And that's the one flaw with Barney's Great Adventures. They didn't keep that.
I
It was a total cop-out when they changed that.
Well, Connor, you said you came down on it when you heard his talk. Is there anything there, or what were you thinking about this movie?
No, let me say one thing. I do like the element, actually, now thinking about the title, I just said it was bad, but thinking about the title a little bit, it has this kind of generic quality to it. When Harry met Sally, they fell in love right away. That's kind of the thing that it's sort of undermining. That's the main point of the story. I feel like ultimately it's trying to show a reality of how relationships are complicated. You can think a person is a friend and then get with them later. You can marry someone you never think you would marry. It does not conform to the storybook image. I think that's also the point of kind of the constant intercutting of kind of the interviews with the old married couples.
And those stories are actually real stories.
Are those the real people, though?
No, some of them are actually the real. They're interchanged, but they're real stories, and that's actually where the screenplay starts. They hear these stories, and then they develop the story.
Yeah, so the movie bookends with... Well, actually, yeah. Someone probably should explain it so people know what we're talking about. But there are these little intermittent, like kind of love stories.
They're almost
how
like talking head sort of things. Yeah, the couples,
like
old
we met
couples.
on eHarmony, like that kind of thing.
It's almost jarring when Harry and Sally show up, and it's like, what, are they about to die? Like, they're
yeah,
all
it
these
did
really
feel
old
like it
couples.
was filmed
It's
in
like,
a funeral parlor or something.
it's like they're going to climb in the coffin and all right, got it? You got everything you need? All right, we're out of here.
Interesting, very depressing palette in that background. I will agree with that. That's a complaint I have about the movie now.
I don't know. It's like the banal domesticity of married life. I don't know. It just felt like he was going to like take out a shotgun in that end scene. That was the real ending. Never mind. Okay.
I do like
Tony
the abruptness
of
I like the abruptness of the cut to credits when they're talking. I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. It's like they're talking about the wedding cake. And
there's nattering on about the wedding cake. And you see that it's like okay, I get it. It's okay. You doddering fools. But that's kind of the whole point. It's like every story like this is amazing. It's a whole story. It's an amazing thing in someone's life, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I think Connor and I are deeply jealous of this couple here on screen. I will say that.
For sure.
At least I am. But let's talk about Billy Crystal for a moment, actually, because do we know? Does anyone see anything before him in this? Or before?
I mostly know him from, Analyze This and That, and then his many terrible Oscar hosting.
Monsters, Inc.
Okay. I meant like before this year.
No, when he's younger. I was taken aback. I like how handsome he is. He's a really handsome guy.
Sexy
the facial hair,
man.
Wow,
Sexy
handsome guy.
man. Oh my god.
It was really interesting. No, I was like, where did he come from? All of a sudden, he's in this movie. It's like interesting.
I was so charmed in the first scene
when he grows that beard. It's like, wow, what a man.
I know what you mean. Like, it did feel like he looked really super young in the first scene, and then they skipped to 5 years later, and he looks kind of more like the Billy Crystal we know today. But yeah, growing up, I've only seen him as this kind of token Oscar guy who's
Scully.
Old and kind of burly. Not burly. He's kind of like
a lot more nebbish. He's not like the sexy
he's
guy.
Like whiny and kind of a little bit.
They must have only changed the hair, but in the first scene, he does look markedly younger than he does later. Like, he really does. There is a big difference.
Yeah, some makeup, definitely covering with the wrinkles.
It's very possible, but they did a pretty good job with the aging. As
good.
for Meg
I want that
Ryan,
done to me.
Was there a big Meg Ryan difference? I didn't see. She looked pretty good.
Well, she got surgery afterwards, which is why she looks so much different now.
Oh, no, I meant within the time.
Oh, yeah. Sorry,
she looked pretty similar the whole time. She's kind of she's pretty.
Hair changes a little bit.
Yeah, the 80s.
As you were
through the late 70s into the 80s.
Yeah.
Quite a time for hair, yes.
What did you want to bring up something, Tony?
What about Billy Crystal?
No, just before I brought that. I didn't know if I cut you off.
No, I don't think so. No, we're going fine. No, I like Billy Crystal. He's my favorite part. It was really enjoyable.
What was your issues with Meg Ryan?
I didn't have any issues. I just thought it was interesting. I'm not really complaining. I just think it's interesting that this is a movie where I think that the man is kind of the more compelling, more like likable character. Because a lot of times you'll hear complaints about like a lot of times in romantic comedies made by men, it's like there's this really appealing woman, this really like fantastical, wonderful, full of life woman, and a guy who's just kind of like neurotic or who's kind of like a loser or whatever, and this woman's just drawn to him.
What? Okay, we must be watching different movies.
I'm talking about one side. I'm talking about stuff like Before Sunrise or something, or Eternal Sunshine. I'm not talking about like the generic.
Yeah, well, this falls more towards that sphere than those.
Before
this
Sunrise,
is more of a crowd pleaser, I guess.
Before Sunrise, you called him a loser?
No. That's not exactly right. I've heard people claim that Juliet, what's her name? Sorry,
Julia Louis Dreyfus? No, that's not
Julia
her.
Louis Dreyfus.
That's the girl from Seinfeld. Huh?
Yeah, that's the vice president. Selena Meyer.
What's her name?
No,
it's a different movie.
No, anyway, I've heard it said in that movie in particular that she is like a much more appealing character. That like men who watch that movie fall in love with her, but women who watch it don't fall in love with Ethan Hawke. I mean, I like them both in that movie. There's a huge digression, but my point is this is a movie where it's the opposite. I find is true.
This is good that you brought this up because I did want to talk about like the gendered assumptions that are put forth in this movie, and for me it falls more in the commercial like Made in Manhattan, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days kind of woman who's just a mess, or like that is kind of like
a lovable mess.
Yeah, and like very like a kind of not very self-aware, and just I don't know. I'm just. It seems like he's better in a lot of ways than her. He seems to be. The movie seems to put forth this idea that she's kind of naive at the beginning, which is true, but I don't know. I thought maybe that she didn't express that much agency in this movie. I felt like it was more about his sort of development as a person, and she was kind of there as this object relation to work through. I don't know.
That's putting it a little strongly, but I think that I feel like
object,
you see him as more developed than she is by the end. I'm hard pressed to think of what exactly
it's very like archetypal, right? Like the woman wants the relationship; she doesn't just want the sex. A lot of these conversations that they have on sex, the guy is kind of like aloof, and he's cracking all the jokes, and she's it's very much like that. But if you can get
she's buttoned up, that is archetypal.
I think if they're trying to go for something like they did, which was very non-conforming and unconventional as far as the movie style itself, they should have gone for that in the gender roles.
I'm going to disagree with you, Kirk, because one, I mean, it's interesting to remember the period here. I think it's fascinating because the movie comes out in '89 and the movie takes place late '70s, roughly up to that period. But this is like the last real thrust. I mean, we get a little bit of this in the '90s, but really where the one thing a woman was still somewhat expected to do was marry. It was starting to kind of fall apart, but that sort of resonance is still there. But I actually think she does have a lot of agency here. I mean, I think she's the one that breaks his illusion about sex. She introduces this idea that sex is not just about himself being happy and him thinking he did a good job. He's this great macho guy. No, it's about the woman you probably slept with was probably not that into it, or she could have been faking it. And then later on, he says he took pity on her, but no, she's the one, remember, who slept with him and who started it. I mean, I feel like there's a change that goes on through to her. I mean, I think in a lesser writer and a lesser actress, she would be a very bland role.
I agree with everything that's put forth by the movie. There's just this small segment of my prefrontal cortex that's like a postmodern feminist that is just screaming at this movie because I feel like there is a lot to critique.
You're being a little hard on it. I mean, we got to keep in mind the era it was made. The same thing with the race thing. I mean, for its time, I mean, it's a very white movie, but like for its time, I mean, it was pretty par for the course. I mean, it's not like, I mean, if it were made today, we hold it to a different standard. But
do we want it to be par?
Also, a lot of those archetypes.
It's for the time. It's an object from the past. I mean, we can talk about it, but like, I don't know. It seems to me like an odd. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, also, those archetypes you talk about, they've been around, of course, but I mean, again, when this movie comes out, it reignites the romantic comedy draw at the box office. And then that's when we start seeing everything from Pretty Woman to up till you were saying 10 Things I
Pretty Woman, Ugly Woman.
Well, how to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. All those romantic comedies are all coming in the Nora Ephron pretty heavy period.
I don't know.
Made in Manhattan as well.
There wasn't such like. The culminating scene right before the end scene is when they have sex, and then she's like a hot mess. He's handing her tissues, and she's crying about her ex-lover. It's like Come on.
I can see that, but
This is You Got Mail. I mean, the Redux.
That's also Nora Ephron.
Okay, whatever. Well, Nora, you're a sheeple. Open your
Oh,
eyes.
now who's sexist?
Oh, my God.
Oh my
I'm
God.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Telling a woman how to be a feminist?
Yeah,
Telling a
I
woman.
never thought I'd see the day.
you brought up the faking it thing in that famous scene. If I'm allowed to be a grump,
Yeah, why
I'm allowed
can't
to be
he
a
do
grump
that?
for a little
Why
bit.
can't Billy Crystal be making orgasm sounds and then a guy says, "I'll have what he's having"? That would never happen.
I'm
Because
not,
it's not. Oh, whatever.
That's not
Oh,
okay.
sorry.
That's irrelevant
you
to my
could say
point.
that.
That's irrelevant to my point. That would be, first of all, Kirk, because of just our whole culture. That scene would read as just the weirdest, most bizarre scene. You'll be like, "What the hell is this movie?" But I'm saying my issue with that scene, it's like a good scene in a vacuum. And, obviously Meg Ryan plays it very well. And it has, of course, the punchline, which is just robbed of all comedic value by the fact that everyone knows it. I was waiting every single scene for someone to say it. But, to me, it's inconsistent with who she's been up to that point. It's just like, she's really in the middle of this crowded restaurant going to start yelling like a maniac to prove a point to Billy Crystal. Like, it just seemed to be so
I
out
kind of
left
agree.
field.
It just felt like just a gag,
It's a trailer moment.
I'm gonna have to disagree once again. I don't know what the hell you guys were doing during this scene. I mean, it's so
What do you
it's
know
just
we were
so
doing?
obvious. Oh my god. Okay, first of all, we had the earlier moment in the very beginning when she walks in and she's instantly uncomfortable when she's talking about sex. Right? He makes a point at her when they're in this diner coming from Chicago to New York. She's instantly uncomfortable. She looks around. She stops
As a
talking.
woman should be. No,
She says loudly in that scene too. She says, "I've had plenty of great sex," and everyone turns and looks
Yeah, I
at
know,
her.
Yeah,
It's
but
the
that was
same thing.
inadvertent. This was like
Okay, well, let me
I
keep going.
guess,
So
but-
she's uncomfortable. She starts talking. Everyone's looking at her, right? But as she becomes friends with her first male friend, she's able to actually start unbuttoning, as Kirk was saying, untightening, being a little looser about her discussion. She's actually able to start talking about sex, which is why when we get to that scene, it's an important moment for her character because she's frankly open to do this in front of everyone, not just to prove a point to Harry and about men in general, which is Nora Ephron's goal here, but to actually be somewhat changed and developed in her character.
Okay, I mean, I get it. It's a beat in her progression from kind of
Sure.
buttoned up to more loose. I get
but
that.
that's far too.
It
loose.
reads
That's
as like
far too.
ludicrous.
But we've
It's
had
insane.
we've had
Like, I don't
small
buy it at
moments
all.
adding up to that I think make sense in here.
But
We've
like
had
a
her talking
person
about
who would
sex
do that
in
would be
public
so
places.
so wacky and so loose and so silly to do that. I mean, maybe it's just me being a grump. I don't.
If
I don't
only
buy it.
this
I don't
were
buy
a
it.
movie and not a documentary. I just wish. Oh wait,
I
it is
wish.
a movie.
I wish it were a documentary. I think we're on my side a minute ago.
I was, but it's like enough already. This is a funny bit.
Enough already. Oh my god. Okay.
It's a funny bit.
I'm
right?
with you, Tony, but sure, I think Anthony's said it.
It's a suspension of disbelief, and it's funny, and but I don't know.
Why don't you ever see them go to the bathroom in this movie? They had to go to the bathroom so many times, and we never see it. So we
Look,
leave it
I mean,
blank.
if you're uncomfortable hearing a woman talk about sex, that's fine. But this movie's not about that, Tony. So I'm just gonna leave it there.
I think every movie should conform to my
But
expectations.
let me just ask you one thing before we wrap up this and move on to the next segment. But how did you feel about his friends, the couple? Would you have liked her to be screwed around by that guy Arthur more, or did you like that she ended up with the with his?
Well, I
Harry's
was going to
friend?
say something about them, and I won't tell you whether it was positive or negative, but I don't have to take this abuse. Let's move on.
Hold on,
Carrie
I want to
Fisher
say
was
one
horrible in
thing.
this
What?
movie. Go
Are you
ahead.
serious? Oh, she was
awful.
really funny.
Absolutely.
I loved
Likable.
the couple.
She
but,
belonged on
They were
QVC.
great.
This is not the most white movie ever made, but it is the most bourgeois. They're always just hanging out, going to restaurants. They seem to do nothing. They seem not to work at all. I was waiting. When they can talk about their job, aren't they tired from
We
their
see
job?
him at a desk once.
we hear about their job.
He says he's a political consultant.
We do hear about it. No,
And
we
she's a
do
journalist.
absolutely hear
Within
about
the
it. But
first
it's
5
just
minutes
funny
of the
how
movie.
completely absent anything about work is from the movie.
I didn't even think about that, but that's very true.
Or there's any sort of diversity or anything like that. I don't know. I like that they could spend so much energy on the romance, but they might have gotten a little tunnel vision. But yeah,
Interesting. All right, let's.
one more thing.
All right.
One more thing. I would be remiss if I mentioned that she said it takes 18 hours to get from Chicago to New York, which is total horseshit. It takes at the most 12 hours.
It's a shame it's not a documentary, Kirk. It's a real shame.
Well, we all have our blind spots.
Kirk, let me
female orgasms, mine are road trips.
Kirk, let me just say something.
Well, Kirk, you know what, Kirk? I applaud you. That was a legitimately good comeback. They come so infrequently that I have to take them on.
Tony,
stop.
He won that one.
Kirk won that one. But let me just say...
You won. You did.
All right. Kirk, let me just say something that the movie established in the opening shot that it would take 18 hours to get there, okay? We'll leave it there.
There's the scene when Universal goes to Google Maps. It's like 18 hours. That's ridiculous. It's usually 12.
All right, but I don't know. It's interesting. There are things I think we like and disagree about the same scenes. We've definitely came with different opinions to various points here.
Rowdy today. Weird. I didn't expect this.
No, I mean we have various opinions of certain things that work in the movie, or don't actually. But let's just get to the votes. I think I know how I am going to vote here. But no, let's just go. Kirk, you want to start us off?
Oh, we're starting with Kirk.
Yeah.
Am I starting? Okay.
Yeah, you're over here looking very excited.
No, I think this movie does have some flaws for me. At the same time, I think it's an accomplishment despite my bickering throughout, when I find a movie very endearing and rewarding, excuse me. And I find that in the same way, but maybe in a different way, but as somebody in 1989, like a housewife would have. So I think that's really kind of cool that there is this kind of multidimensional aspect that people of most ways and in most times can come towards. So I would say yes.
Interesting.
You're saying most people most times are white?
No, that's not. I said most, and what I was referring to was. I will just stop. Actually, I will be.
Well, were you a yes? I didn't even catch it.
I was a yes.
Oh, okay.
Tony, fuck you.
I didn't catch it. I swear to God.
Tony's over here so smugly, just laughing.
What I mean is the love itself, not the demographics.
All right, Tony.
It's hard to backpedal after what you just said.
Yeah, I'll be meeting with Jesse Jackson tomorrow.
I don't know if we'll even want to after that. I'm going to say no. I'm not going to elaborate because I don't have the energy.
Oh boy, am I torn. I went into this bit feeling like a definite yes. As Tony's pointed out, it's like this movie doesn't really say a whole lot, in my opinion. It doesn't like give us any lessons. It doesn't really have that much commentary really that satisfies me. However, I will say that, as Kirk said, it's like a movie that can really like get someone talking. I think it really does speak to this whole thing of the battle of the sexes and can we be friends and that kind of thing. And so it does an interesting movie on that topic. So I'm at a loss.
Let's get the coin.
Flipping a coin.
So, but I'm gonna say this is rare for me. I've only ever said it to one other movie. I think I'm gonna say no.
Ooh.
All right.
It was close.
I'm surprised.
I was sliding home and I got caught. You know,
but revenge for Hidden Fortress.
I'm 2 for 3. All right. Well, let's go to the next
segment. I'm a yes man in a field of no's.
He brought out his coin. He has his lucky coin. What is it, a quarter?
It's a quarter.
Which state? Or is that out of state?
This is regular.
Just a regular?
Regular.
It's stateless.
All right, so it's time for the I think we've officially coined it the fan favorite section. So
well, we need the sound bit first, right?
Oh,
sound bit? Or?
We don't do that very often. We've only done it once before.
I think it's deserved.
No, let's do it.
It's my first one.
That's why I like
bummer.
it.
All right, so
I did really like the movie though.
I enjoyed it as well. Despite I had to, you guys were also positive. I had to be the voice of reason, but I enjoyed it. For the most part.
I think that's known as the
voice of reason. You're like, I'm not even going to justify.
You guys down. Yeah.
I had to bring it down to earth. All right. So who won least recently? I think Connor. Right?
Yeah, it's up to you who goes first.
So you can.
I'll pick Kirk goes first.
All right. Usually I try to stumble over my words a lot, but what I will say is rest in peace, Harper Lee, To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Nice.
I think it's really sad you had to use the death of a person to prop up your choice. I'm not going to be doing anything like that. There are no stunts here. Denis Villeneuve's Sicario came out last year. Something about drug cartels. It's pretty cool.
Terry Gilliam's 1985 film Brazil. It's a personal fave. It's sort of dystopian, but it's not a thriller. It's not really adventure. It's not really drama. It's a sort of a light tone, like a lot of Terry Gilliam stuff. Great, excellent movie, and a movie I don't see talked about to the degree I think it should be talked about as a great movie.
All right.
Well, are you going to rebut for the second time, or did you get enough from the first one?
No, I could do more.
Wait, go ahead. What was the name of your movie? Actually, I did not hear it because
are we going to get another patent?
I wanted to make sure I heard it. What was the name of it?
Sicario.
Sicario. Okay.
Right. All right, go ahead. Give it to me, Kirk. I want to hear it.
Well, I'm Sicario of Tony's bullshit. I think this movie sounds like crap. I'd rather watch Faces of Death Volume 4. And as far as Connor over here, if he wants to watch a documentary about Rio's drinking water directed by Dysentery Gilliam, I'm not going to put up with it. So it's To Kill a Mockingbird all the way.
I'd like to applaud Kirk on Dysentery Gilliam. That was pretty good. I'd like to say about my movie is that I think we've all seen To Kill a Mockingbird. The prospect of discussing it does not really excite me. It's a classic. I don't know what we really have to say about it that's going to be interesting or new. It's a movie everybody has seen. I can't imagine many people like licking their lips and rubbing their hands together.
All right, Tony,
To Kill a Mockingbird. Ooh, it's so exciting. As for Brazil, I haven't seen it. I want to see it, but I'm almost certain we'll all try to see it at some point if we haven't already. It's a big old classic and it looks pretty cool. Sicario is a movie I'm not sure you guys are going to check out on your own anytime soon. I think it's got some kind of interesting stuff going on. And maybe you are, I don't know. I'm just guessing.
No, I'm just saying, so basically the reason to pick your movie is we haven't seen it. That doesn't make any sense.
That's reasoning I use when I pick.
Okay, well, I didn't see Barney's Great Adventure, so I guess I should take you on this one.
It's not quite comparable, personally. It's a little different, but you could say. But anyway, I really enjoy this movie. I just watched a video essay on it, and I was just itching to see it again. It's got some really, really gorgeous cinematography. A great cast. It's just super intense. It's just crazy intense. Pressure cooker of a black despair pot of a movie. I'm staying on message here about how the world is a horrible place and there is no hope.
Well, funny enough, Brazil has some similar messaging in it. However, it's a lot more of a fun movie. Anyway, the past couple of days I haven't even bothered trying to rebut people, so I'm trying to think. I've just kind of made a funny joke and that's it. But yeah, I think Tony kind of said it. I think To Kill a Mockingbird, we've all seen it. It is a classic. I think it is a truly great movie. And Sicario, I haven't seen it. I do want to see it. But it's kind of something. It's in Tony's wheelhouse. So as you can say, it's a bit more on the style side than the substance side. It doesn't have the big themes, I think. Although how can I judge? I haven't seen the movie, but it's more a thing of tone and mastery of film. So, and I think Brazil is comfortably in between those two kinds of things. It doesn't have quite as much to chew on as maybe To Kill a Mockingbird, but I think it'll probably, and also chronologically it's between the two as well. But I think it might be a bit more interesting and kind of intellectually fun, nourishing compared to Sicario.
The civility of Connor's rebuttals continues to make me feel ashamed of myself.
I need to take a shower.
Thank you, Connor, for once again bringing our podcast to a serious level.
A more civilized age.
It's certainly absent in some of us. Well, maybe one commentator here. But
that's supposed to mean.
Let me just start.
Yeah, that's okay, Anthony.
Let me just start by going individually real quick and just say one. I took a bit of offense at Tony's attack on To Kill a Mockingbird.
I didn't attack it.
I do.
Roll the clip.
Just because a film we've all seen, it's interesting about it because I feel like there are certain movies that we all see, and then we always say a line like that, we kind of pass it off as that. But I really do think there's a lot going on in that movie. As for Sicario, I am interested in that. I missed it when it came out, and I know Tony was really high on it. But after seeing the last 3 films that he said he's really high on here, I don't know who to trust anymore, and I kind of want to bring my brother back interested in the show.
Gotta bring him back.
He's a quarter of our audience, so that might be a good point.
Come on, Dad, please watch.
As for Connor, which cut of Brazil are we talking about here?
I think the cut has been standard. I mean,
Probably the
there's the
Criterion
original
one,
theatrical release. There's a Criterion release, which was also the DVD release. So
the DVD
the longer
Criterion?
release,
Okay.
the later release.
Well, the theatrical cut has some issues I have. I've seen this movie a few
theatrical cut,
times.
yeah, it's quite different. Yeah.
Have
So
you seen his movie?
no,
Tony's movie?
I did not.
Okay.
I missed it. I've seen year 2. So I'm gonna tell you guys this now. Tony, you're out. I'll probably watch that movie on my own this week, and
Wow.
I'm still somewhat disheartened by crestfallen by Barney. As for Connor,
Gotta teach him his lesson.
I know you went least recent. You've only gone twice, and I kind of want to be like Sally here after Harry just left. I just want to like ignore you and not talk to you.
Oh yeah.
But I'm going to give you a shot like Sally did, even though you
Okay.
voted
Well
no. And I'm going to say Terry Gilliam's Brazil.
Well done.
And like
Thank you very
Sally,
much.
she will just reinforce his beliefs he had for years. And he will learn nothing from this vote.
It's nice to know that Tony will always side with Armin White and the other 8% of Rotten Tomatoes over here.
No, I think it's a good movie. I would give this a fresh.
The
I would give
4
it a
critics in him at the Toronto Fox Observer.
I would give this a fresh. I said I liked it.
Well done,
Yeah.
Connor. Well done, sir.
right.
That was actually a masterful rebut.
Yeah, good.
Thank you guys.
Well,
Well, it's always a pleasure.
Yes.
I'm
So
very much looking forward to talking about Brazil with you guys next time. And please, guys, stick around. It's a very special bonus bit.
Oh,
this
that's
time.
right.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the bonus bit of the 706 podcast. I am stoked to present our first guest on the 706 podcast. Here originally to talk about his film, but Mr. Werner Herzog, please introduce yourself, sir. Yes, hello. I'm Werner Herzog. I'm a great fan of the 706. I watch religiously. Thank you for watching my Film Jede für sich und Gott gegen alle. Actually, Tony has something to say about that. Unfortunately, we've just recorded our earlier segment, and there's been a little bit of a mix-up. Tony, would you please explain?
Sure. Well, last week when it came time for me to select the movie for this week, I heard there was the option between The Enigma of Caspar Hauser and When Harry Met Sally, and I opted to watch When Harry Met Sally. It was a personal preference. I hope that you don't take it personally.
Tony, you are dick. Yes, Mr. Werner Herzog, I'm so sorry about what's happened here today. I promise if you ever have any return appearances, this will never happen again under any circumstances. It's my fault as well, really. It wasn't all Tony's fault. But is there anything you could tell us about what you're working on next, or do you have any plans for the future? We're all dying. I'm such a great fan. I would love to hear about your next film. Phil, I'm making a film adaptation of the cartoon Totally Spies. A cartoon about 3 Californian teenagers who are also spies.
I love that show.
That's so cool. Oh my god.
It's a fine cartoon. A cartoon, I think, even better than Samurai Jack.
It's a bold claim, Mr.
That is
Herzog.
quite a claim.
Wow.
You've heard it here first on the 706
That's
podcast.
exciting.
Werner Herzog's next project is, yes indeed, a Totally Spies film. Will that be live action? Yes. Wow, that is just incredible. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us, Mr. Werner Herzog? No,
Well, who's playing the spies?
I will not tell you. Sorry.
Oh no! All right, I guess that was too much to ask. All right.
I'm done. Goodbye.
Oh, Mr. Herzog, please. I have so many questions. All right. Well, we just lost him.
Well, yeah, he's totally out there. He's running, actually.
Oh yeah, I can see him out the window. Oh my god, yeah.
Well, thanks to you, Tony. You really fucked this up.
He's really fast. He's way faster than I ever would have guessed.
So that's our first celebrity appearance. Thank you very much
First
for
of
watching
many.
the 706.
I loved him in Django.
Yeah, he was great. We'll see you next week, guys.